One day they're here and the next they're not. Losing someone can be one of the hardest things that we can go through as human beings. It can be one of the most soul-wrenching experiences to go through. But it can also be one of the most beneficial and potentially important things to happen to us, as well as it creates such incredibly nutritious soil as a result of such a potentially traumatic thing. And I think it is so necessary for us to being able to progress and develop and to really get a proper, accurate picture or more accurate picture of what the world is really like. To lose someone, to be confronted with the reality that there are things and people and places that are finite and limited and that may not be around forever. Sure, we might know that, hey, we're going to die one day and the people around us aren't going to be around here all of the time and things like that. It's important to have that kind of thought process running through our mind. But in these moments where it is very, very visceral, we can't escape it. And in those moments where our back is up against the wall and we're forced to try to make something out of this kind of terrible situation, I think that can say a lot about who we are and really highlight the potential that we have for growth and development. In hindsight, when we look back on terrible situations, a lot of the time it can be really foundational or fundamental to the people that we grow into be. We wouldn't be the kinds of people that we are now if we hadn't experienced that. And sure, that can mean that people take it the wrong way and they might use it to fuel negative intentions and to fuel destruction and developing a villain origin story of some kind, but they may only take it at the negative, superficial surface layer of the experience of just what strictly has happened, as compared to digging a little bit deeper and seeing beneath that facade of negativity to try to get where all of the value of this experience is coming from. And this isn't to try to say that we should go out and just enact tragedy and traumatic things on the daily to try to make ourselves develop as quickly as possible. The benefit that comes from this kind of situation is that we haven't controlled it. We haven't planned it. This isn't something that we went out of our way to achieve. One day, it just happened. And the learnings, the lessons that come from that are as a result of not being in control of it. We didn't decide that this family member was going to die. We didn't decide that this person was going to break up with us. So we have been forced into a situation, and that being forced into a situation is so much different than voluntarily deciding to do a thing, to voluntarily say, yes, I'm ready for this. We are thrown in the deep end before we are ready, and that is so important. I think losing someone is one of the most important parts of our own personal maturing and trying to figure out the world and everything that's in it. Because if we don't, we kind of stay in this subtle naivety, just like if we were to spend our entire lives in our hometown. We need to be able to let go and almost have the loss of our childhood geographical location. We need to experience that loss to then be able to be open to the new and to develop into that version of ourselves that is able to handle that and to see the incredible diversity of experiences and the depth at which those experiences can be experienced. For if we don't do those things, then it's almost as if we're operating as a kind of half adult, half adolescent that isn't really able to properly interject or contribute to this kind of civilization of humanity. And sure, you can still get a job and have a family and have friends and kind of live a life if you want to kind of go through those things, which, albeit is is definitely the exception. Pretty much everyone inevitably is going to experience this kind of trauma at some point, so we need to just be ready for it. But hypothetically, if someone was to not experience these things, let's say, then there is a very limited amount of things that that person actually has a semi-accurate, at least, context on. Because that naivety may be nice and fluffy, but, ignorance is bliss, I suppose. And in that kind of way, you don't want people that are ignorant of the realities of existence. You want someone that has experienced the hardships, that has encountered great pain and overcome it. I think a lot of the time as well, people may misinterpret the place of pain in our lives or the place of suffering in our lives. And one of the things that I also think is fundamental to us as human beings is our capacity to experience pain at a deeper level than many other creatures or many other animals out in the world. Our opportunity to sit with and to really absorb ourselves into the experience of pain and to experience something that our monkey brain tells us is bad, that we don't want to keep doing because obviously it's going to kind of hurt us and continue to kind of degenerate our capacity to exist in the world. However, a lot of the time, as I've said many times on this channel, our monkey brain interprets pain a lot of the time in the wrong ways and doesn't see the beneficial aspects of it. And our capacity as human beings to take that negative stimuli, that classically defined negative stimuli, and to transform it into a positive one is so incredibly inspiring and just awesome to see, to not only behold within ourselves, but to see someone else go through that as well is one of the most miraculous things I can even think of. So no, don't go out there and try to cause some kind of trauma or tragedy, because that's not what this is about. Take these gems of experiences and make something out of them. If you've made it this far into the video, then there's obviously at least something that you've resonated with. So on that note, if you didn't know yet, I recently launched a server on Discord just as a place to try to bring us all together, to have some more back and forth and interaction, like an opportunity to have a group of individuals that are supporting each other and really just like-minded on a lot of the same kind of topics and things that we talk about here. And even though right now it is kind of in its fledgling stages, there isn't a lot of infrastructure, but the more people we get in there, the better it'll be, and just the overall better experience we'll all have as a result. So, as always, thanks for watching, thanks for being here, and do more than you think you can.